Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. We're going to be looking at Mikel Arteta's press conference, obviously ahead of that Crystal Palace game. Huge points in there. He talked about Saka, he talked about Florian Balogun, and we also react to the fact that Santi Cazorla is being linked back to Arsenal. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think Santi should come back and join Mikel Arteta's coaching staff room as it is being suggested? I think Carzola was a nice player, great player for Arsenal. And look, if he's coming in as a manager, as a coach, as part of the coaching staff, there is no reason as to why I would say no to him. I loved him as a player. I felt like he was a little bit unfortunate to pick up those injuries, and of course we signed him during the late the late years of his career, but he was magnificent, lads. I mean, there are not so many Arsenal players that I remember in that midfield that were as good as Santi Cazorla and Arsene Wenger. It was so good. So honestly, him coming back and the reports, we will be talking about that later, but what do you think about that in the comments, in the comment section below? So let's look at Mikel Arteta's press conference and what exactly did he talk about there. Right. So here we go. And of course, the first question he was asked there was on celebrating his birthday. And I said, look, the break has been very good. A special birthday, is a big number. I had the chance to spend some time with everybody here at the club, my friends, my family. So it was really, really good. Of course, all we got to say there is happy birthday, Mikel. I mean, it's magnificent, isn't it? On the friendly, with Brentford B, where Alexander Lacazette scored a hat-trick, and I think Rob Holding as well, because we won that game 4-1. He said, well, the fact that we could get the minutes and exposure of some of some of the players who hadn't the ability, who have not had the possibility to do that in recent weeks, get the level, get the competition there. Playing between us is not the same, and we had the opportunity to do that yesterday, and it was actually very, very good, right? On the Palace home game earlier this season, he said, yeah, we scored right at the end of it, and it was tough. It was a very, very tough match. We had some really good some periods where we struggled. We conceded 2 very poor goals in that game with simple giveaways that put the game into a very, very difficult position. The team, especially at home, is doing really well, and the coaching staff are doing a very, very great job, and we know how it is to play in their stadium. I think he's right there on his reaction on during the first game. I think there was a free hit because we had done everything right, but then it was self-destruction. It was all about self-destruction. Partey giving away the ball, and then Benteke scoring his the first goal in that game, and then Oton Edward also scoring that second goal. I think it was Abba Melekonga who actually gave away the ball in the middle of the park. But ever since then, we've improved a lot. Mikel has not said about that. He's not talked about that, but we've improved a lot. And they have also improved a lot, especially in terms of playing at home at the Sellers. So it's going to be a very enjoyable fixture. Very, very enjoyable fixture to watch today. On Patrick Vieira being inducted into the Hall of Fame, he said, well, it's a huge achievement. You have to be very special to be nominated, to be there. And I think Patrick deserves it for what he brought to the English game, what he did for Arsenal, and what he brought to the to English football. I can't agree more. I think, look, honestly, lads, Patrick Vieira, we are still looking for a replacement. We are looking for someone who will give us something close to Thierry Henry's and Patrick Vieira's. If Arsenal could go for Ryan Gravenberch, yeah, I know you're tired of hearing me say this, but if Arsenal could just go for Ryan Gravenberch from Ajax, we stand a chance of having another Patrick Vieira. Is absolutely good. Of course, we've tried to do that in the likes of Samuel Nasri, in the likes of Vasil Kabu-Diabe. We've tried to find our own Patrick Vieira, but we have still failed. But anyway, look, I think Mikel is right. What Patrick Vieira did for Arsenal, the English game, the Premier League, absolutely remarkable. On his message going into the season, run in, he said, I will have them all day. Just try to refocus them. Obviously, when you're in international duty all the time, they are being asked to do different things, different roles, different kind of pressures. For some of them, it was their first international, so emotionally, for them as well, it's a it's very draining. And it says, and we'll try to make sure that everyone is fine and look forward to the challenge that we have ahead. And I honestly think this Arsenal side is up to task when it comes to emotional stability. On Saka and Ramsdale fitness, he said Bukayo is feeling very good. He's training today. Hopefully, if he's still feeling as he was yesterday, and Aaron is a doubt. And then he said he's feeling not great. He hasn't trained yet, so we don't know what will be what he will be able to do on Monday, right? So look, we've spoken about this. If Aaron Ramsdale doesn't make it, then it's gonna be over the weekend. But he says on Ramsdale injury, he said Ramsdale wanted to train and he wanted to play against Villa, but it was a significant injury and he had to take his time. The physios are doing everything they can to make him available, but we will see in the next few days when he starts to do more real training. So it looks like, I think there he's trying to say, don't expect anything from me when it comes to Ramsdale coming back, right? On the players on international duty, he said, well, I think the majority of them had some really good experiences, some really good performances. They scored some important goals as well. I'm ready. I'm really sad for Mo Elneny because it's the second time that he has that has happened, and emotionally that means a lot to him. So I'm sure the team will be here and ready to help him. Obviously, Egypt were dropped out of the way to the World Cup by Senegal after losing to them in the final of the African Cup of Nations in February. On having 5 subs in the Premier League, he said, "I'm glad that at the end we have unified a criteria for the whole of Europe. It's now how we do it, how we manage it. There will be some changes because that gives you other opportunities, and I think the game will have some changes, tactically some changes, and the most important thing is that you can manage much better the load of the players. We need to make sure we don't slow the game down too much, and I think it's good. It gives the players the opportunity to be on the pitch, to be on the pitch, which is what they really want to do. Look, 5 substitutions now. Look, I don't know, but 5 players. I mean, 7 players on the bench, or 10 players on the bench. And now we have 5 substitutions because it's trying to talk about the fact that it could slow the game down, which I agree with. And look, at times these substitutions are too many, and the problem is when clubs employ. The problem comes in when clubs employ substitutions as game management. It could be 0-0 and you're playing Brentford. And you know what they do is they bring in a substitute. They bring on a substitute on minute 90. That is 4 minutes added on. 91, they bring on a second one. 92, they bring on a third one. 93, they bring on a fourth one. And 94, they bring on a fifth one. So literally, I don't know. It's partly good. Because again, it doesn't. You have 20 players in a squad, and all of them are not really going to get game time at the same time. So 5 substitutions just allows you to utilize your squad and your minerals. But look, I mean, we'll see about that. On Tommy's fitness, he said, I think it will be close. He's been training more and more. He has the boys back now, so he will be willing he'll be joining some sessions this week, and let's see how it is. All right, there. So Tommy's back in training. On Tomiyasu's recovery and why it has taken longer than expected, he said because he had a recurring injury, but in the other calf, which was strange and difficult to predict. He's been through a lot in the last 2 years with the old COVID and the amount of games that he's played. The transition to a different league with the intensity is completely different. And then he says, so we can find the right reasons, and hopefully we won't go through the situation again, because especially for him, it's been really tough. Right. On our record of not conceding from a corner this season, he said everything you do in attack of defense is about the whole team. Every individual has a role, every unit has a role, and the team has to be with the right level of focus, aggression, understanding of what can happen, and try to avoid it. All right, I think that's quite a weird comment, isn't it? That's quite a weird comment. On how he coaches that, he says every phase of the game we try to train it, to practice it, and to improve it to the highest level. Obviously, set pieces are key in the modern football. And there, lads, he's not lying. He's absolutely not lying. Set pieces, when it comes to the modern game, set pieces are very, very key. We've seen Manchester City use them very well. We've seen Liverpool use them very well as well. And look, you need to know, you need to be able to deal with them. You need to know how to deal with them if you're gonna survive. And then on celebrating victories, it says, I don't tell the players to celebrate or not. I think that's something that comes right from them, and it's great when I see them, hugging each other, enjoying each other, and celebrating with the fans who made a long trip to be with us for a 12:30 kickoff, showing the gratitude for the fans to be supportive. For me, it is absolutely great, right? I mean, you can't tell players not to celebrate. It would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? I mean, why would you tell them not to celebrate? On football being about winning, he said, absolutely, I think there is I think the best moment of football is after winning a match. The atmosphere with your teammates, and he says, and the atmosphere with your teammates, they have to celebrate, of course. And I think he's right there. I mean, football is all about celebrating every moment, isn't it? It's all about that. I agree, 100%. Ouch! My light was going off, so I had to deal with it. And then on a new contract for Bukayo Saka, I think that is one of the things that are really worrying Arsenal fans, at the moment. Saka's new contract and when it's gonna come. But look here, he says that on Saka's new contract, says, well, we are extremely happy with Bukayo. The progression is having, what he's bringing to the club, what he's bringing to the team. Obviously, we are never going to share any conversations related to private contracts, but we are really, really happy with him, right? So, no update there. No update from Mikel. No update. We'll get it from Fabrizio. On playing last this weekend, he said we are going to focus on what we can do. That is the only thing we can control. Through the TV, we can suffer or enjoy, but there is not much we can do. What we have to do is to win the football matches that we need to achieve what we want. That is all in our hands. All right, that's a nice comment there. On when he would like to be playing Tottenham later in the season, he said, "Look, I don't think we're going to have a choice. So whenever the Premier League decides to do that, it will be the right and the only time that we are going to be playing. Look, I'd love to play Spurs earlier than later. I mean, it's a game that has a lot of pressure. We can't lie about that. It's a game that has a lot of pressure. So I'd love to play Spurs later. I mean, earlier than later. honestly. On Balogun's development, he said, I think Flo is doing well, and is doing what he needed to do, and probably we should have done it a little bit earlier. It's always a bit difficult to time or when it is the best moment to do that, but he's having the right exposure. Is playing in a different formation and sometimes a different role, and a manager and a club with huge history. History doesn't matter. You can see how he's developing. So this is giving us information. This is going to give us more detail about what is the next best move for him to keep developing, because he has developed, and we want him to be part of our future. All right. And of course, on the players level, he said the step was too big. The step was too big. I think that is to playing in the Premier League, from what he was doing to the Premier League, and you could see that it is not fair on him to assess just in certain moments whether he can do it or not. So he needed a pathway. He needs that exposure. He needs to go through good and difficult moments, and he needs to be able to adapt and find himself in the dressing room and develop the importance that is required to play at this level. I think he's doing all. I think he's doing all of that really, really well. I think there is no question, lads. Florent Balogun is a great player, great talent. At some point in time, I see him at Arsenal. He's not like Edin Ketia. At some point in time, I see him in this Arsenal side. On Harry Maguire being booed by England, he said that obviously the supporters have the freedom to express what they want, but if you ask anybody related to football how you're going to get the best out of a player, obviously it's totally against any odds that a player is going to improve if he gets bored. And he says that's something that we all can agree on. That is, so if you want the best for your team and the best for your national team, obviously that's not going to help the player individually, which is going to help which is not going to help the team collectively. Now, Harry Maguire being booed, I'm not going to share my comments there. I wanted to though, but I'm not going to. On whether he's looking more for Spain or England in the World Cup draw, I think I said, look, I'm Spanish, you know that, but obviously the gratitude and the feelings that I have for England is very close, so I'm always cheering for the England national team, and as well because we have a lot of football, a lot of England players, right? So I think it was, look, I think it's quite a difficult one. I mean, you are the manager at Arsenal in England, and then you're Spanish, so you need to choose your words wisely. But at some point in time, I think it's alright. I mean, he can be, all Spain, all he wants. On Saka having a small break, he said, I don't know how much he would have played. Sometimes when a player is in a good moment, you don't want to stop it. It's what is it's what it says. It is what it is. He had COVID. He had COVID, and we had to take him out of the national team. He had some issues. He had some if it says he had some if time to rest. He had some time to rest and recover, but he will be training in the next few days to go again and hit the form he was actually in. All right. On Steven Gerrard's comments on Saka, he said, I think Bukayo said he was not going to complain, but he wanted some consistency in the refereeing. The only person who can protect the players is the referee, because he guides the level of the game and the level of the contact and physicality that is allowed or not allowed in a football match. I think we have to protect our best players, and that's in the hands of the referee. That is all. Look, lads, this is a point I want to put across. As we talk about referees. There is a suggestion that referees should start training with players to improve their relationship and rapport. I don't know what you think about that. That referees should be in players' training sessions. Do you think it would work, or do you think it's just a mere wastage of time? Let me know in the comments below. Right. And then on Ben White saying how together the squad is, and says, for me, it's crucial because it's the platform and the cement that you can build on. On Santi Cazorla being linked back to Arsenal with a coaching role, he said, I haven't discussed anything like that with Santi. But of course, if you want to ask anyone at this club, at this football club, or any supporter about Santi, they will probably have a smile on their face. He is still playing, so I don't know what he wants to do, but I'm sure it will be related to football because I know him very, very well. On whether he has spoken to him recently, he said, I spoke to him on my birthday, but we didn't discuss that. And of course, on William Saliba, he said, I haven't spoken to Saliba since then, but obviously we are really, really aware of what he's doing and how he is developing. He's our player, and we are really happy with the decision that we made. He's getting the minutes and the exposure, responsibility, and the growth, and his age was not something that we could guarantee, and his and the growth at his age was not something we could guarantee here this season, and it makes a lot of sense what is happening with him, and we are glad to see the way he is actually improving. That is the man himself, Mikel Arteta, speaking to the media. I mean, what is interesting for me, lads, and one thing I pick from here is Santi Cazorla. Oh my God, I wish Carzola comes back. I wish Carzola can make a return to Arsenal. Smash a like on the video, do subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll speak to you right in the next one.